Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Sean with Solis Review. Today we're going to be going over Prime 1 Studios' Batman Who Laughs. It's a 1/3 scale. It is one of the best statues of this year by far. Very excited to go over it. I've had it for a couple of months now, and I've been waiting for the right time to do the review. Figure the beginning of the year, let's start off right. So a little bit of backstory, if you need it. This is an evil Batman. Surprise. No, it's from a series storyline for DC Comics where there's a regular multiverse, but then there's an evil multiverse. And at this evil multiverse, there's a variety of dimensions where everything goes wrong, essentially, and these super villain Batmans are created. Batman Who Laughs is one of them. He is essentially the leader of the group called the Dark Knights, all evil Batmen. And this Batman is Bruce Wayne, but he is Jokerized. It's not Joker in the suit, it is Bruce Wayne, but in this dimension, Joker drove Bruce to the edge, and I believe he, killed everybody in the Bat family almost. There was a group that he killed. It might have been also like Alfred or Commissioner Gordon, and then also he started orphanizing children in front of Bruce, essentially like making him relive his trauma. Bruce snapped and killed Joker. Joker had the last laugh though, because he had like a toxin that was inside of him that as soon as Bruce killed him, it would, with his last breath, infect Batman with the Joker virus toxin kind of a thing, but essentially Jokerize him. Bruce resisted it for a time, but then snapped and killed all of the immediate Bat family in the Batcave, and then proceeded to kill the entire Justice League of his world, and recruiting more evil Batmen to essentially assault the good multiverse, which was like a prime Earth kind of a thing. So it's an ongoing thing. Like right now he has the powers of like Dr. Manhattan and things like that. So it's one of my favorite series, just like even for the concept art, the direction they go, just how crazy cool they are. Prime 1 has announced various other Dark Knights. Super excited for them. I'm gonna have them all. They're gonna be my centerpiece for me. I'm super stoked for them. So the Batman Who Laughs also brings with him various Robins that he's created and converted and goblinized kind of a thing into what they are now. In the comics, actually, one of the Robins turns out to be Billy, Shazam, and that was really cool. It was like the Shazam Who Laughs, if I remember right. Very cool. And then one of the other ones turns out to be the Robin King. So they're definitely making sure that there's important characters throughout this storyline. But I feel like Prime 1 knocked it out of the park when it comes to bringing that concept from the comic to reality here. We've seen other versions of the XM one and Sideshow's one, and while they're cool on their own, I don't think that they really compare to the level of detail from concept that this brings. This is like straight out of the comics. Okay, so gone over backstory. So concept, yes, like I said, exactly from the comics. It's really hard to knock it because it is so much like the first panel where you really see Batman Who Laughs. He's holding the Robins on a leash like this, and then they expose the rest of the Dark Knights team, and it was an impressive event. I remember that for sure. I have the #1 Batman Who Laughs. I'm gonna totally display that eventually someday with it. Engineering wise, it's in a lot of ways, it really hits right with Prime 1. Like their style of the 1/3 DC line. Not necessarily Arkham, because this is not Arkham, but it follows a lot of the same principles. It's on a rooftop. He's standing on it, and there's like gargoyle-esque things. But they take that general concept and then they just completely bring it to the next level with 4 characters on one thing, and then this amazing fence that you'll see here in the review as we go around. It is essentially right into the class, like the row of Batman characters. It would fit right in there, which I think is really smart for Prime 1 to do. It's very heavy on the base. That's good. It does, you know, it feels really solid to me. The characters do not, for me, at all wobble. The Batman body himself is very heavy. Everything keys in really well. I didn't have any issues like that. Literally, the only thing that was a challenge, I think for most people that have this piece would agree, is the chain. They give you a wire, like a needle to wire the, you know, the chain through his hands and around everything. It's complicated. The instructions aren't great, but once you get the concept, you can even freestyle it a little bit, but I tried to do exactly what was from their production photos. So that was probably the most challenging piece for sure. I've seen other people, like Mr. X had issue with the fence that's in the back, not going in all the way. I don't know that you would notice it too much because it's, you know, it kind of looks disorderly like that. So engineering, super solid, like all of the Batman 1/3 line have been, as far as I'm aware. Paint. Paint is amazing in some spots. There are very, very, very limited areas that don't, I guess, make sense to me paint-wise for some of the choices. Let's start at the bottom. So the rooftop pedestal thing that he's on here, the bricks do look like kind of like a classic Arkham dirty black brick kind of a thing. The thing that doesn't quite make sense, I think it really depends on the lighting. If you have it in open lighting like this, the roots, the vines that grow up the side can seem a little, I don't know, less like low detail in the scene compared to what everything else looks like. Although when I had it in some kind of like indirect, you know, red light and everything, they looked really cool because it kind of hid some of the coloring muddledness with that. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot that you would knock on this base. The gargoyles look straight out of like hell. Very good metal. I love them. They look great in the right lighting too, and they look like something straight out of like an evil multiverse if I was gonna pick. The bat symbol on the back is very reminiscent of the Arkham kind of a bat symbol going on. It looks good. It's got some of the root systems on it too, but they look, you know, dirty. It's fine. It looks good. It's what I would want from it. Again, like I said, the vines are really the only weird part of the back, or sorry, the base. And looking at the fence here, again, same metal treatment as the gargoyles. Really cool, really interesting. You don't normally see like a sign from the back like that, but I think it works. It makes me want to be able to spin it around while I'm displaying it somehow. Even the top of the fence is made out of crowbars, so cool nod to Joker for sure. Looking at paint on the Robins, I think it's really good. You know, it doesn't look like photorealism as in taking a concept art or comic art and making it look in every detail like you would see in reality. It looks like they just brought the comic to life in the way it displayed. The comic was gruesome and graphic, and these faces are horrific and detailed and sharp, but also look like the comic. The outfits are great paint wise. They look like the comic here. There's even, the little stitching paint marks all over for the edge of the fabrics everywhere. It looks great. The faces are just monumentally good to me. They look horrifying in the best way possible. I've had children walk in the room and the robins were what scared them. I think it looks great. The capes are fully sculpted. They look good. They're some of the better fully sculpted capes I've seen for my stuff. I really think they look great. They look like fabric if you're just looking at it. Hair looks good. It doesn't look, like I said, like a movie version where it's that realism. It looks like an animated thing came to life, and I think it looks great for what it is. That it's green hair, it's twisted, it's kind of jokery because they're Joker eyes. The venom looks great. It's painted out in a way that it looks nasty. It looks good. Their mouths have great paint apps. The teeth look rotten and nasty. It's great. It sounds so weird to say it's great, but the grosser they are, in some ways, the better they are here. Okay, let's look at the Batman Who Laughs. You might automatically think that it's black, but it's really not. There's areas where it is kind of a blacker, but there's some details like the ropes on his laces of his shoes, or different patches area on his suit that are not the same color. There's variation. It depends a lot on the lighting that you're looking at, but you can see that they put there's layers here, there's depth, there's lighter, there's more burgundy areas. The details in the rips look good. They look like real stitches there. Throughout there's that same stitching marking that all the Robins had. The buckles look good. They look like dirty like belt buckle brass kind of a thing going on. Yeah, depending on the light, Batman Who Laughs has a lot of detail in it that you wouldn't normally see, or you might glance over. So I really like that. The chains, they are metal. They look like metal. They've got a good dirty quality to them. The skin looks kind of like a more evil Joker skin. It's white, it's super veiny, it looks kind of like zombie rottenish. His portrait is astounding to me. It's one of my favorite portraits that's ever been. I love the teeth, the smile, the goo, the blood, the red. It is so good. It doesn't look photorealistic in the sense that it would be something you would really see, or that a smile could look like this. But it takes the comic drawing and gives it so much detail that it feels like you're actually looking at what was in the comic. So I know for some groups this was Statue of the Year. Paint app, Prime One Studios won best paint app in some groups too. This definitely shows it's an amazing piece. For the paint app alone is what we're talking about here, and they did a great job as always. Prime One, solid. I love Prime One. Now, sculpts. Good sculpt. Let's start from the bottom again. The bricks look like bricks. There's good texture there. The bat symbol, the fence, the gargoyles, they are great with detail. They look like what you would expect for those items. Like I had said, the Robins, their uniforms have great sculpts. They look, like I said, like that, it's a cartoon comic version of realism, but the material in a small scale, you can see folds of the collar. where things look old and worn and dirty. Things speak to their gloves that they are, you know, kind of this cheap, raggedy made material, but the mask looks like high quality. There's, you know, it's really interesting to see the level of detail that they added. And with Batman Who Laughs, you can see muscularity. You can see that he was a large person, and in some ways looks strong, in some ways looks gaunt. The clothing has a lot of like folds in the boot and ripples and things like that. I really like that. The buckles all look like real, you know, dirty, nasty leather on here. Skin's got great texture. That face, the sculpt, I can't imagine it being any better. It is fantastic, and really I've got no knocks on the sculpt either. It's knocked it out of the park. I honestly don't know how this statue could be any better, so for me it's 5 out of 5 on the sculpt. The paint, engineering solid. Really the only thing that I could knock, if I had to find something, was it was difficult to understand the steps for achieving the chain distribution, like the installing that exactly how it was in the photo of what you were buying. Beyond that, there's nothing that I would change about it. So I like to be critical when I see something wrong. This is by far one of my favorite pieces of all. It is definitely up there with some of the Guyver pieces that Prime 1 has done for me, so that I love. And yeah, so all in all, he is a 5 out of 5, and definitely, to me, deserving for a lot of people, I guess, the view of a Grail, of a Statue of the Year. So if you have any questions, guys, please reach out. Please let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Talking with you guys is definitely one of my most enjoyable parts of this process. So please like, share, subscribe. Let's keep this channel going. This is Sean with Solis Review. Thanks, guys.